Yeah, you're okay. It's all good. All right, so it's all good. Tonight we'll need a bolster, a blanket, um, and two blocks if you want them. Just the usual that we always have. And yeah, it's gonna be super relaxing tonight. I'm in a new setting, trying out some new places in the new apartment, and yeah. So we'll start using our bolsters. Oh, what am I doing? Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 11's Thursday class. We've made it 11 weeks. It's kind of hard to believe. There's actually no Thursday class next week. So this is the last Thursday class before Monday. It's been a crazy journey, but yeah, here we are. So we're going to start on our backs and using our bolster. Sorry, I'm reading comments. So we're going to start on our backs in fish pose. So having our bolster on our mat, we can slide our low back to the edge of that bolster. If you don't have a bolster at home, you can use a bunch of pillows stacked up on top of one another and some blankets, and just extend those legs out nice and long. If you don't want to do fish, if it might be too much on your low back, you can always just come straight down onto your low back without using the props. So we'll go ahead and lower ourselves down here, using your hands to walk our back down. From here, getting settled in the middle of the spine on the bolster. And I'm going to offer the variation tonight to bring the soles of the feet together with the knees out wide. And this is where those blocks might come in handy. So having the blocks nearby if you want them. But bring the soles of the feet together. It's a fish with a reclined bound angle. So we're hitting two muscle groups at once. I noticed that after Sun Sal's, my hips tend to be really sore, as well as my hamstrings. So let's go ahead and get settled. Starting at the top of the head, maybe just rocking the head from side to side. Loosening up the neck here. Relaxing the shoulders into the weight of the bolster, allowing gravity to just let you sink into the bolster and the support of the bolster. Allow the belly to relax. Allowing the knees to relax wherever they are, and the feet. And as you're settling into your pose, this fish bound angle pose, bringing your awareness to your space. Noticing any noises around you this evening. Just taking note of those noises and anything in your space that may distract you during your practice. Just noticing that it's there, acknowledging it, and then just bringing your awareness back to the body. I do have a dog who likes to sometimes bark, especially when you hear someone at the front door. So just letting you all know, if you do hear that, I apologize. As you settle into this this pose. Begin to deepen the breath, filling up the belly, filling up the ribs all the way to the top of the chest. And slowly exhaling it back out through the nose, starting at the chest, relaxing the ribs, and lastly, relaxing the belly. Inhale again, deep belly breath, all the way up to the ribs, into the chest, and then slowly exhaling that breath back out through the nose, the ribs, and the belly. Just a few more times at your own pace. However long you need to take your inhales and exhales. And in these poses that we start our classes in, our goal is to just bring our awareness into our space on the mat, letting go of any distractions from the outside world. As a gentle reminder, if any tingling or numbness begins to occur at any time in your body, please come out of the pose and come down into Shavasana or lie on your back with your legs fully extended. If that's still uncomfortable on your low back, you can always come onto the belly, fully extend the arms and the legs, and allow the body to rest. I'll leave you in silence for the next minute and a half or so, allowing you to focus on your breath and your body. Bring some awareness back into the body. Use our arms, our hands to gently guide our knees back up to center. Work our feet so that our feet are flat on the mat. Using our hands, we'll push ourselves up and off of our bolster. Moving the bolster off to one side. And then gently lowering ourselves right back down using our arms. Keeping those feet flat against the floor. We'll walk our feet out to the edges of our mat and I'll just allow the knees to fall in towards one another. Giving a nice, good counter stretch for our bound angle toes. And again, a gentle reminder if your mind begins to wander off onto something going on in your life, just without judgment or any emotion, as best as you can, just gently bring the mind back to the body. Bring the mind back to noticing the breath, noticing that rise and fall of the breath. We'll take a few deep breaths here. So exhaling out all the breath. Slowly inhale all the way through the belly, up through the ribs, to the top of the chest. Our 3-part breath, and then slowly exhaling it back out. Inhale again. This time on the exhale, draw the knees in towards the chest. Exhaling out all the breath as you pull the knees in towards the chest here. And from here, just gently rocking from side to side. Massaging out the low back. Finding the breath again. Take a deep inhale all together. And on your exhale, allow the knees to drop over towards the right-hand side of the body. Extending out that left arm to the left side. Maybe using the right arm for support on top of the knees. If stacking the knees is too much, you can always offset the knees by pulling the left knee a little bit closer to the chest and then unbending that right knee just a little bit and sliding it away from the body. And that'll take some of the pressure off the low back if it's too much of a stretch in your practice tonight. As you allow yourself to relax into this pose, noticing if there's any tension in the body, just noticing if the shoulders are pulled in towards the ears, and just dropping those shoulders away from the ears. Left shoulder blade is still touching the mat. Belly is soft. Legs are soft. And as you breathe into these poses, on each breath, imagine that you're sending that breath down into the hips and the low back. So on the inhale, imagine that breath traveling, where you're pulling that breath out of the low back. And as you exhale, allowing it to just float away from the body. Inhale, breathing deeply into the low back, into the hips. And slowly exhaling it back out. I'll leave you in silence for the next few minutes, and then I'll bring you back when it's time to change sides. When you're ready, using the support of your right hand to guide the knees back up to center. Take a nice deep inhale, and as you exhale, pull those knees in towards the chest. You rock from side to side. Coming back to center. Still drawing those the knees in towards the belly. Take a nice deep inhale here. And as you exhale, let the knees drop over towards the left this time, extending out the right arm over towards the right shoulder blade, still touching the mat. Head is loose here, so you should be able to rock the head from side to side. Shoulders dropped away from the ears. Right shoulder blade touching the mat. Belly is soft. And taking whichever variation for your knees works for you. Coming back to your breath if your mind wandered. And on each inhale, imagine you're sending the breath down into the outer hip, into the low back. I'll leave you in silence for the next few minutes as you settle into the pose. And I'll bring you back when it's time to move to the next pose. using the left arm, we'll gently guide our knees back up to center. Pulling the knees in towards the chest. Rocking from side to side here. And taking your time, we'll roll onto our hands and knees. So just roll to one side and then gently press yourself up. We'll come into our tabletop pose. The hands and knees, the hands lined up underneath the shoulders. Knees are lined up underneath the hips. Do a couple rounds of cat-cows here. So we'll inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, lift the tailbone, press down through the feet, through the hands. And as you exhale, pull that belly in towards your spine, press to the hands, chin comes to chest, rounding out the back. Inhale, cow pose, drop the belly, lift the gaze, lift the tailbone, and exhale. Pull that belly in towards the spine, press to the hands, round out the back. Do a couple rounds on your own here. Coming back into center. Yeah, neutral tabletop. Identifying that left hand, right? We're going to be threading the needle to stretch out our left shoulder. So with the palm facing up, placing the back of the hand on the mat, palm facing up, we're going to slide that left hand underneath the right armpit. And as we're doing so, we're going to drop that left shoulder down to the mat. Head can come down too. And then you can either stay here or walk the hand out to the top of the mat, the right hand to the top of the mat. Allowing the belly to drop. We're looking underneath our right armpit. And when we're pressing into our right hand, engaging our right shoulder just a little bit. So we're not sinking into our shoulder, our rotator cuff. So we're engaging through that right hand, reaching long with the left fingertips. We'll hold here for just a minute or so, where I'll leave you in silence. That right hand was at the top of the mat. Slowly slide it back towards the head, planting that right hand down first. We'll press into that right hand as we slide that left hand out from underneath our armpit. Place that left hand back down onto the mat underneath our shoulder. From here, we're going to do a couple seated cat-cows. So a little different. So if you'd like, if you have that block nearby, we can place that block up underneath the sit bones and sit back onto our calves. If this is too much for your calves, you can always come into a seated position up on top of your block or your bolster, whatever's comfortable for you. So once you're in that either seated position or you're up on the shins with that block underneath the sit bones, sitting back, nice tall spine. We'll take our arms out cactus style at a T. We'll inhale. We'll pull the shoulder blades together gently. We're not pressing the shoulder blades together. We're just pulling our elbows back towards our spine. And exhale, pull the elbows towards one another, towards the front of the chest. Drop the chin towards the chest. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Inhale. We'll pull the shoulder blades back together towards the spine. So our elbows are going towards our back. And exhale. Pull those elbows in towards one another, towards the front side of our body. Drop the chin to the chest. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Palms can come together if they would like. And just do 2 more rounds right here at your own pace. After you finish your 2 rounds, you can drop the arms back down to your side and then move back into that tabletop position wherever you are. We're going to move over to that next side for our thread the needle. So hands come underneath the shoulders, our knees underneath our hips. We'll take that right hand this time and we'll place that hand down so the backs of our hands or the tops of our hands are facing down towards the mat and we can see our palm. And then we'll slide that right hand underneath the left armpit so our shoulder drops down towards the mat here. You can either stay here with the left hand by the face, or you can gently walk it out to the top of the mat. Still engaging through that left shoulder, right? We're not trying to sink into our rotator cuff. Extending through the left fingertips. Pressing onto the tops of the feet. Once you get settled and you take a few deep breaths, sending that breath down into the shoulder. I'll leave you in silence for the next minute. And I'll let you know when it's time to come out of this pose. If that left hand was extended long, slide that left hand back towards the face, planting that left hand into the mat, press up into that left hand as we gently slide out the right hand from underneath the armpit. Placing that hand back down to the mat. We're going to do the seated cat-cows one more time. So whichever position you took last time, go ahead and move there. So you can either be in a seated position on your butt with using a bolster or a block, or placing a block underneath the sit bones. You can sit back onto your calves, also giving a nice quad stretch. Arms can be down at your side. For now, inhale, go ahead and cactus arms. So arms can come out. Our elbows are bent. We'll inhale, draw the shoulder blades in towards the spine gently. We're not forcing anything. And as you exhale, pull those elbows back together. Palms can come together. Chin comes towards the chest. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Inhale. Pull the shoulder blades back towards the spine gently. And exhale. Elbows come together. Palms can touch. Chin to chest. Shoulders away from the ears. And 2 more rounds here. At your own pace. When you're finished, you can come back down to the hands and knees. So moving any gear off to the side. We're going to need a bolster for the next pose. So go ahead and grab your bolster. Place that bolster in the middle of the mat. Bring our knees to the outside of our mat. Toes can come in. We're going to move into a supported child's pose here. So getting yourself situated with your knees on the outside of the mat, toes are touching, or if they're not touching, that's cool too. Wherever your body is allowing you to go. We'll place that bolster in between the thighs, and then we'll gently walk ourselves down onto our bolster. If the bolster still feels like it's too far, you can always add a blanket. There's no such thing as too much padding in this situation. Remember, we're in restorative and yin. We're trying to, we use gear, trying to bring the floor up to us so we're not overextending ourselves in these poses, causing pain. We're looking for that happy medium of the, that feels good. Once you're settled into your pose, checking in with the body, see if there's any tension you're holding in the shoulders, in the back, and the hips, and the feet. Allowing the hips to fall towards the heels. And as you breathe in, sending that breath down into the hips, into the groin area, into the low back. Making any small adjustments here that you need. And after you settled into this pose and you found stillness, I'll leave you in silence for the next few minutes before I bring you back out of this pose. Gently using the hands, we'll slide our hands back to the sides of the bolster, pressing up out of child's pose. And move our bolster off to the side. Coming up onto the hands and knees one more time. And curl the toes. Press through the hands as we lift the hips into downward facing dog. Pressing down through the heels, maybe pedal the feet, dropping those knees from down. taking the knees down to the mat again. We'll slide our right knee to the back of our right wrist, and then pulling our right foot in towards the body. We're moving into that pigeon pose, using our bolster for support. You place that bolster underneath the front of the body. And before you lower yourself down, notice if you're leaning onto one side of the body more than the other. So maybe using a pillow or a blanket underneath that right hip. And then when you're ready, you can gently walk yourself down onto your bolster here. So we're moving into like that pigeon pose. Our left leg is extended long, reaching through the back toes. Equal weight in both sides of the body. So we're not leaning too far to the left or too far to the right. And at any point you start to lose feeling or any tingling sensation in the feet, please come out of this pose. You can go into a down dog. Or if you'd like, you can come onto your back or onto the belly. I'll leave you in silence for the next few minutes as you allow your body to fully relax into this pose. Dropping the shoulders away from the ears. Allowing the head to feel the support of the bolster. Breathing deeply into your right glute and your right butt. using the hands. Gently slide the hands back to the edge of the bolster. Press ourselves up. We'll uncurl the left toe or curl the left toes, pressing up. Gently sliding that left or that right foot back over towards the right. Slide our right knee back to meet the left. Curl the toes, press with the hands and lift the hips, downward facing dog. You can walk the feet here, as we talked about earlier. And when you're ready, you can drop the knees back down to the mat. Move on to that next side. So, grabbing any gear that you need to support for yourself. Look at those hands underneath the shoulders. Slide the right or the left knee behind the left wrist. And then we'll bring in that left foot into the middle of the body as we shift our weight back, extending out that right leg. If you'd like, you can place a blanket underneath that left hip for a little bit of extra support. Bring that bolster in underneath the belly. And when you're ready, gently walk the hands out and lower yourself down onto your bolster. Noticing if you're leaning more on one side than the other. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. And as you go through your breath cycle, imagine you're sending that breath down into the left side of the body now. So that left glute. A little bit of that IT band. And as you make any small adjustments you may need in your body, remembering that taking this time for yourself today is hard, and it's necessary. And as you settle into your body, I'll leave you in silence for the next few minutes. Gently sliding the hands to the edges of the bolster. Elbows are tucked in towards the body as you press yourself up off of your bolster. Moving any gear off to the side. Hands can come underneath the shoulders. Curl the right toes. Lifting right knee off the mat as you slide the left foot out from underneath the body. Placing that right knee back down and sliding that left knee back to meet the right. You can curl the toes. Press of the hands, lift the hips into downward facing dog. Pedal the feet out here. Dropping the knees down to the mat. You can roll onto your back, grabbing any gear that you need for this last pose in Shavasana, maybe a blanket to cover the body, a bolster underneath the knees, maybe a blanket underneath the knees for support. Coming onto your back. Making any small adjustments you need here on the mat. Letting the feet drop to the sides. Relaxing the knees. Relaxing the hips. Relaxing the belly. Relaxing the chest. Relaxing the shoulders. Relaxing the arms. Relaxing the neck. Relaxing the head. Relaxing the jaw and the tongue. Taking a full deep breath all the way through the belly. Slowly releasing it back through the nose. Releasing all tension in the body. I'll leave you in silence for the next few minutes. I'll bring you out when it's time to close our practice. And to deepen the breath. Wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes, making any small movements. We're doing a couple of wrist circles or ankle circles. And when you're ready, roll to one side of the body, stacking the hips, or the knees, excuse me, stacking the knees on top of one another. The arm can come underneath the head for support. Taking a pause here, not worrying about what's coming next. When you're ready, keeping the eyes closed, gently press yourself up into a seated position. Palms can be on the knees or wherever's comfortable. When you're ready, bring the palms together at the center of the chest, with the thumb closest to the center of the chest. Taking a moment here to give yourself gratitude for either yourself or someone who allowed you to be in this class today. Gratitude to yourself for taking this time for you and for being here. We'll close our practice by bowing to one another out of gratitude and respect for being here. And open the eyes. Thank you so much. I have so much gratitude for everyone that always comes to class and joins us on YouTube. I'm eternally grateful for you all. That concludes week 11. Thank you. Our last class is next week on Monday at 5:30 Mountain Standard Time, so 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, and we are going to be going for the 108 Sun Salutations. It's going to be hard. So for those that are going to be there on Monday, please drink lots of water. That's all I have.